On this episode of Living with a Classic, my thoughts on my 1999 S-Type and why I'm selling it. Welcome back to Living with a Classic. We're out in my 1999 Jaguar S-Type. It's the 3.0 V6 automatic. I've had it for about 6 months now, or like a little over 6 months, and I thought it's about time to do a review of this car, see what I really think about it. I did like a mini review when I just got it, but then I'd only driven it for a few days, and now I've driven it as a daily driver for about 6 months, also through the winter here in Sweden, and honestly, it's been a fantastic car. I've absolutely been blown away by the driving experience. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. I didn't know much about the S-Type when I got it. I've always had the older Jags and always the bigger XJs, the XJ12, the XJ6, driven lots of XJSs. But until I saw this one, I never sat inside an S-Type. I'd never experienced the driving experience or anything. I'd heard from people that it was a great car to drive. And it really is. It drives very differently to the big XJs. It is a lot sportier, if you can call a big saloon sporty, but even a big saloon with an automatic gearbox, this feels sporty. The suspension's a lot tighter. It takes corners without really rolling. Still, it's very smooth, very quiet. And what I'm probably most impressed with is this, the 3-liter V6, the quad cam V6, and that's a fantastic engine. Not only is it really nice and quiet, it's very smooth, and it's surprisingly powerful for being a 3-liter V6. And when you put your foot down and you actually kick it down in a gear, it does make a really nice noise. Actually, it has a nice induction sound, and even with the standard exhaust, this car sounds pretty nice. When it starts up in the back and it goes up in high idle, that's a nice burble. So it's a very nice engine for the car. Of course, you can get it with a V8 as well. I haven't driven one of these with a V8, but I've heard that they are pretty much the same. You have a little bit more power, but not that much. It's a little smoother, but I mean, this V6 is fantastic. And not only that, the fuel consumption has been incredibly low for what it actually is, which is a big 4-door car with an automatic and lots of luxury. The S-Type received quite a bit of critique when it was released back in 1999. This is a very, very early model. Many people didn't like the styling. Some people liked the retro look, but a lot of people didn't like the retro look. Honestly, I think it was a little bit ahead of its time, because just a few years later, you had many cars that did the whole retro look thing, and that's got popular again when they released a new Mustang that had the retro look. Several other cars had the retro look going for it, so I think they were a little bit ahead of their time. However, I think the car has aged very well, and to be honest, when the S-Type was released back in 1999, I mean, I wasn't a driver. I mean, I was 8 or 9 years old, but I remember when it was released, and I remember them showing it on TV and on Top Gear, and I thought, I didn't think it looked very pretty. I thought it was a bit of an ugly design. I was pretty disappointed by it, but I think it's aged very well. I think it looks a lot better today than it did brand new, and honestly, I think it's a very pretty car. It's a very handsome car, especially like this in a nice silver metallic, and I think they look very nice in darker colors as well, such as a dark blue or a black or a darker gray. I particularly like this car with the early interiors, and a lot of people don't like it. The reason I like it is because I don't think it's aged that much. It has a traditional radio with push buttons, CD and tape and radio, and has air conditioning with normal buttons. The later ones, you get an odd kind of little touchscreen in the middle, and in my opinion, an outdated infotainment system from the early 2000s. It feels a lot more outdated than having late 90s buttons that just work. So in my opinion, I'd rather have the early ones with the earlier interior, even though people do prefer the later facelift ones. So now I have a nice spot up here. We're gonna park up and I'll give you a tour outside the car, have a look at it. And this one is a very nice example. And then believe it or not, I'm going to tell you guys why I'm selling my S-Type. So let's start by having a look at the exterior of this car. It's in silver metallic with a tan interior. It's an absolutely gorgeous shape for being a 1999. It doesn't have any of the S-Type rust, because otherwise they usually have issues where the sills rot out and you won't see it because, believe it or not, all of this, it's just a plastic cover. It's underneath. So you have to get underneath the car and almost pry that cover off a bit and have a look if you can see any rust. They also like to rust around the arches in the rear, and oddly enough they can rust under this molding here around the windows and here, but this one doesn't have any of that rot anywhere. It's an absolutely gorgeous shape, and this is probably one of my favorite angles to view the car, right here from the back. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Looks nice with this little, I mean, the R's had a much bigger one, but even the base models have a pretty cool little lip sort of wing back here. I think it has really good equipment level for a 1999. It has parking sensors, automatic gearbox, a glass tinted sunroof that tilts and opens, dual zone climate control, has the normal stereo with a tape player. You could get it with a CD changer. You could also get a GPS. This doesn't have that. It doesn't have a phone either. But there are a lot of cool things you can get. It has heated seats. It has a heated front window, which has been absolutely fantastic when I've used it in the winter. Never had to clear any ice off the windshield. You just turn it on, and about a minute later, no more ice on your windshield. So let's have a look inside. Door cards are absolutely gorgeous. And contrary to belief, all the wood is real wood. None of it is fake wood. It's all real, which not that many cars in the 90s still use real wood. And if you take a sit behind the wheel, the gauges are pretty classy in these early ones. They're just black on, or just white dials on a black background. Looks very nice, I think. And you have your various controls up here for the trip computer and everything. So overall, it's very much a modern car, even though it's a 1999. Everything feels very modern. And unlike many other Jags of this time, it actually has a cup holder, which is my first Jag with a cup holder actually. And it does have a pretty big glove box as well. The owner's manual's in there and a phone holder. Let's have a look at the back seat. And back seats on these are really great. You have a lot of space actually. This seat is all the way back. It's just because I have the memory function where the seat goes back when you walk out of the car. This is a very nice back seat. It's nice and soft. This one is in excellent shape. No rips or tears. Leather's worn really nicely. And then you have the headliner there, and you can see through the glass sunroof there. If we have a look at the boot area, it's pretty big. It goes in very far. It's quite deep. However, the one thing I have noticed is that the space from here to up here is not that high. So some really high things don't really fit in very well. But this boot does have one thing that's pretty unique to Jaguar. You have these two pull tabs here, and here, and then the rear seats, they actually fold down flat on both sides, meaning that you get a pretty huge cargo space. I mean, you can put skis in here, or you can go to a furniture company and pick up some furniture, or I've actually used this car to pick up a lot of things, and a lot more fits in this car than you would imagine. So being that you have that option to fold down the rear seats, it suddenly becomes a very, very practical car, even though it doesn't really look like it. Under the hood, we have the 3-liter Jaguar V6. It's a quad overhead cam V6 that puts out about 240 horsepower. It has variable valve timing, which means that when you actually put your foot down, it becomes a very quick car. It's incredibly smooth and really quiet. So my final thoughts on the S-Type. So if you've never driven one or never been in one and you've had older Jags, I definitely recommend go out and find a nice one and test drive it, because I think you'll be surprised. A lot of people put them off because maybe they don't like the styling, or they think, oh, it's just a Ford in disguise, which it definitely is not. Yes, it does share a platform with some other Ford products. It does have Ford switches, but many Jaguar 90s and early 2000s products do have Ford switches in them because they were owned by Ford at the time. So that's not really weird at all. But it is definitely a real Jag. It drives very nicely. It's extremely comfortable long distance, smooth, it's quiet, and it does handle those corners surprisingly well. Also, it's a surprisingly good car when it's slippery out or it's icy. I've driven it during the winter here, and the traction control system is actually really good in this car. I've tried several times to get it to lose traction on slippery roads by doing what you shouldn't do, basically flooring it. And the traction control, when it's on, it stops you from doing any of that and getting out of control. It's been very good on snow and ice, so I've been very impressed with it. And now, on to why I'm selling it. Well, the reason is, there's a few reasons. One of them is, it's a gorgeous, very nice car. And I feel kind of bad using it as a bit of a winter beater, let's say. And honestly, I'm probably not going to use it during the summer because I have a few other cars that I want to get the chance to drive during the summer that I do not drive when there's snow on the road and ice in the winter. So my first idea would be to, put this car in my garage and leave it there and take it out again in the fall and use it as a winter car again. But then I thought that'd be a shame because it's such a nice car. Even though it did such a good job during the winter, I'd rather want to sell it on to someone that's going to use it as more of a summer car here. So I found a friend through the Jaguar Club who actually used to have one of these, and he sadly got rear-ended and the car was totaled, and he hasn't had one since. So I talked to him about it and I asked him, well, would you like another S-Type? And he's like, yeah, but it's hard to find a nice one. I'm like, well, if you want, mine is for sale, and I promise you it is a very, very nice example of an S-Type. He came and he had a look at it, and you could tell that within a few minutes he's made up his mind that he was going to have another S-Type. So it's going to a good home. But here's the nice thing, you guys will still see it on the channel from time to time if you want to, because he has asked to store it at my place during the winter, and I'm still going to carry out all the service and maintenance on this car. So if you're subscribed to my channel because of S-Type videos, don't worry, there will still be S-Type videos even though I don't own this car. Also, coming up, I do have an S-Type project. Once again, it's not my car. It's a friend of mine's or a family member. Also 1999, an S-Type, but a V8, which it's quite a project. It doesn't run at the moment, but body-wise and rust-wise, it is a very, very nice car. It's in excellent shape, however, it doesn't run. So that's going to be a future project here on the channel. So if you want to see more S-Type videos, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if you want a detailed buyer's guide, what to look out for. As this wasn't really a buyer's guide, more of a review of the car, let me know in the comments down below. And for those of you who've been subscribed for a while, you might be wondering, well, what am I going to get now that I don't have the S-Type? Of course, I do have space for another car, and I do have another car in mind. It will definitely be a car that's made by Jaguar. It will definitely be something that I think is a classic or a future classic, and it will definitely be a project that's probably pretty broken. So stay tuned if you want to see what my new car is. But until now, this was the goodbye of the S-Type, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I put new videos every week on some Jaguar and classic car related content. So until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.